Alright, this video is all about selection tools. So we're going to start. These selection tools are basically up here, these three areas. So we have the marquee tools, and so you have a rectangular, elliptical, single row, and single column. You have your lasso, polygonal lasso, and magnetic lasso. And you have your quick selection and your magic wand tools. Alright, so let's first take a look at this one. This one's pretty simple. If I click and drag and hit Command J, I basically create a selection in the rectangle. And then that selection itself can get moved around. And so you can have kind of some weird, trippy fun doing some weird stuff like that. Alright, so that's the rectangular. Obviously, you can do this with elliptical as well. In fact, what's nice about these tools is once I create the elliptical, then let's say I wanted to paint. Well, it'll only, let's bring that back up. It'll only paint inside the elliptical because it's basically just selected it. If I wanted to, I could invert it and then it would only paint outside of the elliptical. So you could create this nice little frame. And that goes for just about all the effects, is when you have something selected, it will only work inside, or if you invert it, you invert by Command Shift I, and then it'll only work on the outside. Now, what I do find is a lot of students, they have trouble. Let's back up there. They have trouble because they might have like that. And so barely noticeable, but that is a selection. So now I'm going to start trying to paint a mustache onto Santa. And I'll be like, oh, darn it, why is it not working? Oh, Photoshop's broke. No, the reality is the only place it could actually paint is there because that's where it's selected. So to unselect, right? So it doesn't matter if it's that small one or this big one. To unselect, Command or Control D, and that will unselect everything. Okay, the single row tools, I have found some interesting uses for them. However, they are kind of useless in the world of photography for most people. And so we won't talk about those much. Okay, the next one, lasso tool, is basically like the freehand tool. So you can like freehand, and basically what it does is you create the loop, the lasso, and then now you've got that selection inside that shape. Command D to get rid of it. The next one down is polygonal lasso tool. And as you guessed it, you just click and drag and you can create a polygon. And then double click and it will connect. So let's say you're here, 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 here. And you just didn't quite get to the edge. Oh, I did there. So right here and here, I didn't quite get to the edge. So I'm going to double click and it will finish it for me in a straight line. Okay, and then you can do whatever, Command J, whatever it is you intended to do. All right, so the last one is a magnetic lasso tool. And what that will do is actually try to read contrast between one shade and another. And so if I click and start going along Santa's suit, see how it's trying to read the edge of the suit. Now I can go at the bottom here, and go up here, and then the idea is that if you're slow and methodical, it will pick out all the edges, right? And it'll keep going until you connect or double click, and then it'll connect for you. However, it's not the cleanest, and I don't often use this. So instead, we go to the next tools down. Now the magic wand tool will basically pick one tone up. And it's all based on the tolerance level. And so if you have a single tone, it will pick it up. But as you can see, none of these are single tones. Remember, when you zoom in, right? Oh, that's pretty close. All we're really talking about is single tones here. So it might pick those or those. But that's about all it's going to pick. And so we really need to use the next one down, which is the quick, or the one up, I should say, quick selection. All right, quick selection is the main tool that you'll probably cut out things with. So it's a brush, so just like the brush, you use your bracket tools to increase and decrease, and then you just click and drag over the area that you want to pick. And when there's a lot of contrast between the subject and the background, it picks it up nicely. What I mean by that is the red here tones and the white tones there, like they're very clearly distinguishable, this line on his coat, as well as the dog's ears and the top of the head, as well as this white versus this white. If this white was closer to this white, it would be hard for it to pick out. So that's how this works, is it picks out the contrast. Now it doesn't do it a perfect job. So you can refine it by clicking this select and mask in the options bar. So when I click it, it gives me some opportunities or options over here. And I always use the red overlay just because this seems to work best for me. Now what you're going to do is you're going to have this refine edge brush tool. You're going to get it to a decent size. This is decent. And you're just going to click and drag along your actual edge that you want. And what it's going to do is try to read as best it can where the thing you want ends and the thing you don't want begins. And what's nice is it's like right here, it's really good for hair and fur and things that aren't just straight hard edges. Now it can have a tendency to actually make your subject a little transparent, especially at the edges there. So you do have to watch for that. Alright. But I think that did a pretty good job. The only thing is I can see a little bit of transparency in the dog's head, but I'm going to fix that by clicking OK and just clicking a little bit right there. So now I think I have a pretty good cutout, and I can hit Command J and voila. And to test this, how I usually test it to see if it's a good cutout is I'll add a layer and I'll find a really annoying color. Now what's more annoying than the green screen? I will grab the paint bucket, dump it on there, and put it right underneath. And now I can see where the edge is and what it's doing. And see, that's a little bit jagged right there. Right? Not the cleanest cut on dog's eye, but that's fine. This also a little transparent there, but for the most part, this is a pretty clean cut. Alright, so that is the selection tour, or tools tour. Quick selection, again, is probably your friend. Now, one thing you can do, let's back up a little bit here. Let's get rid of these guys and go back to the original. Let's say I was clicking and I accidentally went like that, and I have more than I need. Now, the slow person, or slow Photoshop users, go up here and they click on the negative, right? So that's the positive, add to the selection. The negative is to take away, and then they just kind of like go like this. All right, but since you're a power user, or you're going to be, you can keep it on there, and you're going to use your Alt button. And the Alt, if you can see, it switches back and forth, right? So here's add, and then there's subtract, and you can quickly kind of hone in. The other thing is, I'm going to clear the selection, a lot of whether or not this reads the edge very well depends on the size of the brush. So when I'm inside here, I'm just going to go, nice big brush, because I want it to pick up a lot. But now when I'm going to start working over here, I'm going to have a smaller brush. I get the hiccups now. Right, and that smaller brush, just for some reason, ends up picking up the edges a little bit easier. And sometimes you have to get really tiny for it to, get these small little edges, like right here. But that's what that select, refine, and mask tool is it will actually read the difference and know that's actually the background. Right, and especially you can see the gray edging along here. This refine brush tool does an awesome job of just removing that. Okay, so that is selection tools.